Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Metropolis Radio, and concluding our James Bond themed day, we're going to take a look at this article here, what Amazon buying MGM means for James Bond's future. Amazon's purchase of MGM includes co-ownership of the rights to the James Bond franchise. Here's how that could affect 007's future. Excuse me. Hot off the heels of the Warner Brothers / Discovery merger announcement came news of another major Hollywood deal. Amazon buying MGM for $8.45 billion, and with it, co-ownership of the James Bond movie franchise. After investing heavily in original TV shows, Amazon is looking to use the MGM acquisition to massively expand its library of films and access IPs like the Rocky / Creed and 007 franchises. The next James Bond movie, No Time to Die, has had its release date pushed back numerous times due to the coronavirus pandemic and is now set for release on October 8th, 2021. In late 2020, there were reports that the movie was being shopped around to streaming services for the steep price of $600 million. MGM denied the film was for sale, maintaining it was committed to, quote-unquote, preserving the theatrical release for moviegoers. Yeah, but what they don't tell you is that MGM was going through a lot of financial troubles due to the many delays of No Time to Die. Amazon's acquisition of MGM isn't affecting the release of No Time to Die, but it could mean that Bond 26 and subsequent movies will be Amazon Prime Video exclusives after their theatrical runs have ended. Beyond distribution, however, Amazon's influence over the James Bond franchise has some significant limitations. Here's why the MGM acquisition is unlikely to have a major effect on 007's future and the things that change in the coming year. MGM has co-ownership of the James Bond franchise movie rights with Danjaq LLC, a holding company for the movie studio Eon Productions, that's Everything or Nothing Productions, which has been producing James Bond movies since 1961. Eon is a family-run corporation that's currently run by Barbara Broccoli, the daughter of founder Albert R. Broccoli, aka Cubby, and her half-brother Michael G. Wilson. Amidst the film industry's constantly shifting landscape of rights and deals, Eon has remained steadfastly in control of the James Bond brand for more than half a century, and Broccoli and Wilson are fiercely protective of the character's image. Eon Productions is independent of MGM and therefore not included in Amazon's buyout, so anything James Bond related that Amazon wanted to make would have to be approved by Eon. In terms of control over this particular franchise, the deal is a far cry from Disney's acquisition of 20th Century Fox, which gave Disney full control over characters like the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. The end result will be more comparable to Disney's relationship with the Spider-Man franchise, where there's an agreement to allow the character to appear in Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, but ultimately Sony retains control. MGM may have part ownership of the 007 movie rights, but Eon has final approval over creative choices, and nothing Bond-related gets made without Broccoli and Wilson's approval. In the announcement of the deal, Prime Video and Amazon Studios Senior VP Mike Hopkins explained that, quote, the real financial value behind this deal is the treasure trove of intellectual property in the deep catalog that we plan to reimagine and develop together with MGM's talented team, end quote. Amazon is investing heavily in long-standing franchises with a big-budget Lord of the Rings TV show among its upcoming projects, so the company is unlikely to simply sit patiently on the sidelines as a new James Bond movie is released every few years. In addition to adding the library of existing 007 films to Amazon Prime's current content collection, Amazon may also push to expand the franchise with spin-off TV shows or movies. But as was brought up, the buck ultimately stops with Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson in that regard. So even if Amazon wanted to do it, if they say no, well, like what Nancy Reagan once said, no, not Nancy Reagan. No, it's no means no. Whether or not Eon Productions would approve a James Bond cinematic universe is another matter entirely. Speaking to Variety last year about the strict control that Eon retains over 007, Broccoli explained, quote, for better or worse, we are the custodians of this character. We take that responsibility seriously. It's also worth noting that Amazon's co-ownership of the Bond franchise is a worthwhile investment, even without expanding it beyond the main film series. The last two movies in the franchise, Spectre and Skyfall, grossed $880 million and $1.1 billion at the box office, respectively. I believe the $1.1 billion was Skyfall. And James Bond films have been reliably successful hits for 60 years now. Following the news of Amazon's acquisition of MGM, James Bond writer Josh Logan, who wrote Spectre and Skyfall, penned an essay in the New York Times to express concern over the limitations over the creative process of crafting a Bond film, which Logan described as being familial as opposed to the Marvel Cinematic Universe or DC franchise films. The long-term effect could be that future James Bond films will be less of a creative venture and more to streamline a franchise for the general audience. But again, that's also how a lot of pulp writers approach the genre too, is that, okay, you know what? I need to get something out because I need to get paid for this month. So I know that the audience likes aspects A, D, and F. So let me just craft a story around those and just get it out because we got to make money now. So that would more play to James Bond's, pulp roots. But again, I think that's wishful thinking at this point to think that James Bond is going to go back to his pulp roots. Time will tell if that will be the case, but the fact that Eon Productions still holds some control could keep the process Logan discussed intact. As for whether Bond films will continue to be released in theaters, Broccoli recently revealed that Amazon is dedicated to continue to release future James Bond movies theatrically, and that these films will continue being made with a theatrical run in mind. However, Broccoli ended the statement with, quote, "We'll see what happens," which suggests that this could change in the future. For now, however, it seems that any future Bond movies will continue being released in theaters just like they have been in the past, with the likelihood they will be exclusive to Amazon Prime Video after the 45 theatrical window is over. Amazon's acquisition of MGM is not impacting the theatrical release plans for No Time to Die, which has had distribution deals in place for years. Universal is set to handle the overseas release while MGM handles distribution in North America. There's certainly no fear that No Time to Die will skip theaters entirely and go directly to Amazon Prime. For starters, that would have meant leaving vast sums of money on the table, since theatrical attendance will hopefully be returning to pre-pandemic levels by October. Again, I do think that that's a lot of wishful thinking, but that's neither here nor there. More importantly, though, Broccoli and Wilson said in a statement to Variety following the news of Amazon's acquisition of MGM that James Bond movies will continue to release in theaters first, with Broccoli reiterating that sentiment again recently. Though it may be a streaming giant, Amazon has been in the movie-making business for several years now, and overseeing the theatrical releases of movies like Suspiria and Beautiful Boy. It's extremely unlikely that Amazon would limit the profitability of a franchise as huge and expensive as James Bond by ignoring theaters and releasing the movies straight to streaming, even if Eon was willing to allow such a thing. Again, I would argue that the James Bond movies didn't need to get that expensive to make. You don't need $250 million to make a James Bond movie. You didn't need that much money back in the day. And you certainly don't need to pay your lead actor $25 million reportedly to appear in a movie. That's been the problem, is like how high are these salaries going to go before it's like, what? This model just cannot be maintained. So James Bond fans can be rest assured that they'll continue to have the option of experiencing the movies for the first time on the big screen, at least for the foreseeable future. If the Amazon MGM deal is wrapped up within the next few months, No Time to Die could well be added to Amazon Prime's video library after its theatrical run, but only in North America, where MGM has the distribution rights. Since the global distribution rights belong to Universal, overseas moviegoers will likely have to pay extra for the streaming release of No Time to Die. However, the deal isn't expected to close until midway through 2022, with certain groups asking the Federal Trade Commission to block Amazon's purchase of MGM. Well, no shit, because now you're running into antitrust issues at this point. Regardless of what happens with No Time to Die, Eon Productions has a process of taking James Bond movies one at a time, which means there aren't yet any distribution deals in place for Bond 26. Therefore, this and other future sequels will likely be made available for free to Amazon Prime Video subscribers as part of a streaming library that is set to become a lot bigger once MGM's catalog joins it. So again, answering this question, what Amazon buying MGM means for James Bond's future, to simply put it according to this article, it doesn't mean dick. You know, as long as Eon Productions and Danjaq hold on to the creative rights over the movie, basically no corporate entity or studio can tell them, you know, what to do and when to release X movie. James Bond will be fine theoretically, but what's going to happen if somebody else comes along? And actually not even that. Let's look at the Daniel Craig era entirely. It's been nothing but a goddamn disaster. And what would save it is for Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson to return James Bond to his pulp roots. But again, I don't think they wanted to go that route because, hey, Jason Bourne is popular. Let's start chasing trends instead of setting trends like we did, 40, 50 years ago. And guys, that's all I've got for you. If you stuck around this long, thanks so much for doing so. And if you've been following me long enough, you know I'm terrible at ending these videos. So I will just see you guys next time.